And we are back with some more Road to Glory with your Fort Wayne Komets. And we are headed into year number 2 with them. And I think we're just going to get straight ahead to the playoffs because, as we saw previously, I have almost no control over what's happening here. We do not have control of the lines because that's the coach's job. And why would I fire the coach after he just got a 40-win season? I mean, to be fair, we did choke in the playoffs a bit, but I'll give him one more year just to see what he does. You know, we did offer him a contract extension after all. So really the only things I can do are hire and fire coaches and set captains like 10 times a year. So yeah, we're just going to skip right ahead to the playoffs and see what happens, see where we go from there. I have approached some players with contracts just to, you know, have some players under contract just to fill in for injuries and stuff. But that's basically the only purpose of those contracted players, it seems, down here in the ECHL, at least for teams that have NHL affiliates, because Vegas players are going to flood our roster, and there's not a single thing we can do about it. All right, so we come across a bit of a problem here. So we currently have 26 players on the roster, and the season starts tomorrow. We can't advance a single day. Only 5 of those players are contracted to us, and 4 of them are defensemen, and we only have 6 defensemen total on the roster. So if I try sending down every single one of the players that are under contract to us, first of all, we're left with 2 defensemen. And then we also have to send down Hawksprung, which leaves us with 1 goaltender. And not only do we only have 1 goaltender and 2 defensemen, but we also still have too many players on the roster. I can't do a single thing about any of this because none of these players are contracted to us. These are all Vegas or Henderson players. I can't do anything about it. And if we try to advance, there's still too many players on the active roster. I suppose, could I try to put someone on the injury list? I mean, that's another thing. There's already players on the injury list as it is. And it's not like I can offer these players contracts because they're already contracted to an NHL or AHL team. I can't trade them. I think we're stuck. I have no idea how to get around this, besides maybe turning on commissioner mode and forcing them off the roster, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, there's literally nothing I can do. I don't know what to do. Our stint in the ECHL definitely is not going as I hoped. Yeah, I don't see any way around this besides turning on commissioner mode and literally forcing players off the team. Like, I can't simulate at all. It won't let me. And there's nothing I can do about the contracts. Like, I can't trade players. I can't waive them. I can't send them down anywhere. I'm stuck. I'm completely stuck without cheating. Yeah, all right. So for the sake of the series, for the sake of continuing with the ECHL, we're going to turn on commissioner mode and we're going to edit some of these players because I don't see any other option. I mean, I guess we could always just resign from the team, but I don't want to do that in the middle of a season. Or, well, I guess the start of the season, but still, you know, if we're going to resign, I would rather do that on July 1st. So now we have the right amount of players, but we still only have 2 defensemen. So we're going to have to send up 5 more forwards because we do need another goaltender up here as well. All right, so that has been taken care of. Hopefully that doesn't happen again because that was quite the situation there. We now have 4 more defensemen on the roster and 1 more goaltender. So 2 goalies, 6 defensemen, and 10 forwards are dressed. I believe that is the maximum for the ECHL. So with that being said, hopefully we can get through the season simulation without issue. And presuming that's it, we'll simulate up to the playoffs and see where we go from there. Nope, I'm mistaken. We have too many players on the active roster still. I forgot to take that into account. So we're going to need to send 1 more forward, I think, back to Henderson. And as a result, I'm going to need to turn commissioner mode back on. Why is Vegas sending so many forwards? Henderson in particular. We have 26 players on the roster again. And I don't know how to prevent this. We are 1 day into this season and it has happened for a second time. So, oh boy. Yeah, it won't let me simulate until we get within the roster limit. And even if I send all the contracted players down that are currently on the roster, we're still above the roster limit. And Vegas and Henderson seem to absolutely love sending us nothing but forwards and almost no defensemen. So I honestly, I don't see much of a way around this. Unfortunately, we might just have to skip the ECHL. I gotta be honest, boys. Either that or we resign from Fort Wayne, and then on July 1st, we do an ECHL expansion, and then we'll be able to take control of that expansion team, and we'll be able to, operate as we please, since we won't have any NHL ties. I'm thinking that's what we have to do. I wanted to go through this year with Fort Wayne, but it appears the game is kind of breaking itself right now. I have there's no way I can fix this without repeatedly going into commissioner mode and as I tried doing before, reassigning players that should be with Henderson to Henderson. But like I said, it's literally been one day in the simulation and it's already gone back to how it was before. So I have no answers to it besides that we might just have to resign. Yeah, I hate to say it, boys, but I think we're going to resign here because there are way too many factors that are just out of my control. Like the lineups, the roster itself, just there's so many things that I can't do, or if I can do something about it, then I'm usually overridden by Vegas or Henderson like very soon afterward. Sorry, Fort Wayne, but it is definitely not working out for us here. So I guess what we'll do now is we will advance to July 1st and we'll start an expansion team in the ECHL. Or if we get a job offer in Europe, then I suppose we could go over to Europe. That would be an option too. But if that doesn't happen, then we'll just go with our plan to create an expansion team in the ECHL, because our time in Fort Wayne was an absolute disaster. Just given that there wasn't a whole lot that was under our control, I wasn't feeling it. You guys could probably tell as well. So let's, like I said, advance to July 1st and see what opportunities await us. All right, here we are. We're on July 1st of 2028. So we have once again gone through another full year. I mean, we were the GM of Fort Wayne for a year and literally change one game during the 2027-28 season. So hopefully this new plan of ours goes better to expand the ECHL. And I have already done just that. As we take a look at the Central and North divisions, they both have another team added to them. So we now have 28 teams in the league as opposed to 26. And the teams that we have added, the Lexington Men of War and the Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies. I kid you not, these were actual ECHL teams back in the early 2000s. And I didn't necessarily want to have to do something like this, like, expand whatever league we're in. But when it comes to playing GM mode, I am the type of person that prioritizes fun over realism. I mean, obviously, I care about realism, right? But when realism gets in the way of actually having fun during a GM mode, then it just destroys the whole experience for me. So that's why I've decided to expand the league. And it's not like this is entirely unrealistic, I mean, it is the year 2028. I mean, technically anything could happen in the future. So let's just pretend that the ECHL expanded a little bit. And obviously it's not like these are teams that never existed. It's not like I made them up. They are indeed real teams. Or, well, they were at one point real teams. So obviously, as you can see, neither of them have any players on their roster. That is to be expected. They were just created. And we will be joining the Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies. Let's go. So one thing right off the bat that is going to make this a new challenge is that we do not have a minor league, like a farm affiliate at all. So as we take a look at one of these other teams, such as Adirondack, they have the Northeastern U.S. Semi-Pro team as a farm team. However, we do not have any farm team at all. So basically, that's a new challenge that we have to get around, because I unfortunately do not see a way to set our minor league team, as usually the option is somewhere down here, but it does not appear to be enabled. I guess that's just something we're going to have to deal with. And another thing that we're going to have to deal with is not having the help of an NHL team. I mean, I guess that was the point of creating our own team in the first place, but we're not going to be able to get those star level players who are on cheap contracts. So I think that's going to be our biggest challenge here with Atlantic City. All right, so to make up for the fact that both we and the Lexington Men of War do not have a minor league team, or a farm team rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the active roster limit to 35, which is the contract maximum for the ECHL. And this applies to every team, so it's not like I'm getting an unfair advantage. every team will be able to have up to 35 players on their active roster. And once again, that is also the contract maximum. Now, obviously, that's kind of unfair to some of the players who are going to be scratched, but it appears that's what we're going to have to do. So we're going to save that. So with that all out of the way, I believe it is time to build our roster here. All right, so we have everything in place now. We're roughly 2 weeks into July, and we have our new head coach, Mats Sundin himself, is going to be coaching this team. And we have a pretty good assistant coach staff as well. You know, I made sure everyone is at least above average and everything. And here's what our roster is looking like. I mean, no player who really stands out here, but I don't think any of these players are particularly bad for this level. So I think we should be able to compete. I mean, I don't know the caliber of all the other teams, but it looks like we're going to have our hands full. So I'm certainly not expecting this season to be easy by any means, but we're going to give it our best shot here. We have 2 3.5 stars in goal in Bridges and Blackburn. So I'm hoping that these two can mostly carry the team defensively. And then on defense, you have Bergeron, Tremblay, Matthew, Warren, Fleming, Waterfield, Dochuk, and Duncan, hoping that one of them, at least one of them, can stand out as a solid offensive defenseman, and then maybe a couple of guys in a shutdown role. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how this team's going to simulate, given that it's just entirely comprised of free agents, but I do see a lot of potential here. And at forward, I think someone who I have my eye on is Reggie Newman. His shooting accuracy is at 17, positioning's at 16, so I'm looking for him to have a big season. And that is basically our roster. We have 21 players on our roster, and once again, we have no parent teams. We also have no farm teams. So this is going to be a very interesting season here in the ECHL. Hopefully it works out. All right, so we've gone through preseason. I'm pretty satisfied. We had 4 wins, 3 losses. Nothing too concerning, I don't think. It's just going to be one of those seasons where we're just going to have to see how things unfold, because obviously, given that this is a team that was just put together, I generally have no idea what's going to happen. But I think I'll be looking for a big season out of Jackson Hughes, our captain. He had 13 points in 7 games played. And in goal, yeah, Blackburn and Bridges. Neither of them did too well, 908, 95 save percentage, so I guess hopefully coach just rotates them and sticks to whoever's better. Grade-wise, Jackson Hughes had a 79 offensive grade, 71s for Collert and Lund. Defensive grades, you had Waterfield, Duncan, Fleming, and Warren, all over a 70. So I'm certainly seeing some good things so far, at least. I mean, obviously, it was just a preseason, but I certainly think that we can be competitive. Now, I don't know about dominant like Rimouski was, but, you know, we should at the very least be competing for a playoff spot. I think that's realistic. So with that, I think we'll end things off here. We got a long season ahead of us. So in the next one, we'll get through our whole first regular season with the Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies. So I'll see you guys in the next one.